to me likely impacted how I treated Zach over the years. I did not know everything about Zach Smith, which was what Zach Smith was doing, and I'm pleased that the report made this very clear. I did a poor job at Media Day. It's a big reason why we're here today. I was not being as complete and as accurate as I should have been at Media Day and afterward, but there is no intent to mislead. My role is to set a good example. In this instant, I did not live up to the university's standards.
So the university released the following statement. Although neither Urban Meyer nor Gene Smith condoned or covered up the alleged domestic abuse by Zach Smith, they failed to take sufficient management action relating to Zach Smith's misconduct and retained an assistant coach who was not performing as an appropriate role model for OSU student athletes. Permitting such misconduct to continue is not consistent with the values of the university and reflects poorly on Coach Meyer, Athletic Director Smith, and the university. All right, Chris, let me start with you. What was your reaction to all of this?
Well, God knows I love my university. And for those who don't know, Urban Meyer is a very, very dear friend of mine. Him and I are very, very close. I've been knowing his wife for over 30 years, basically. Urban coached me at Ohio State. Urban, first job, he's a Buckeye. He was born in Ohio. His first job was to coach the wide receivers. That was my junior year. That was the year I was first team All-American. The first wide receiver to ever be an All-American in Ohio State. And the story is not about me. The story is to give context to my relationship with that university and with that man. I was disappointed. I was disappointed in the university, and I was disappointed in Urban. I was disappointed that as someone, as a department head, for you not to know the people who you are employing. And, you know, they fooled me because I have had Zach coach a few of the kids who I coached there. And some of those kids felt like that Zach wasn't the quality of the coaches of the other. Larry Johnson Sr., people like Mike Vrabel, who have coached at that great university. That's one of the great things. They talk about Urban, but, man, we've always had a line of great assistant coaches. So on many different levels was I disappointed because Urban should have known that. That's his responsibility. But just like all of us, Urban's human. We have blind spots. And he allowed, because of his mentor, Earl Bruce, who also recruited me since I was 16 years old, and he was my coach at Ohio State. So I understand what Urban's saying about his grandson and how Urban was mentored by Earl Bruce. Yeah, I can see all that. But this is not a mistake that Urban Meyer typically makes. Urban Meyer is typically always buttoned up on all these situations. So to me, it was a message to me that even the people who we think we know, we need to continue to take inventory in this 2018, because what happened in 2015, 2009, 12, we're living a different era as far as sexual harassment, domestic violence, all those things. Man, we have to continue to check our circle to make sure that we know the people who are around us. And the last point I'm going to make is all those disgusting things that people reported that Zach Smith did at the White House. I was at the White House. Like, this guy is like, I was there. I was there with the team, taking pictures with the president. Urban called me on stage. Myself and Archie Griffin, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winners. So, man, there's a lot of different levels of disappointment. I thought the university should suspend him for 5 games because I thought he should lose at least 1 or 2 Big Ten games. We played Rutgers week number 2. But no, he should probably miss that Penn State game, which would take the suspension potentially to 5 games. I think that would have been penal. I don't think that he should have lost his job. But I am disappointed in my friend. He's still my friend, though, because for him not to know a person like that, I could see he had a blind spot because he was the grandson of someone who was a mentor to him.
And I understand the relationship of you want to take care of your mentor's grandson. The question I had in this situation is, what about your mentor's great-grandchildren? Because those little kids saw their mom getting beat up, allegedly, I'm supposed to say here, and Urban heard that this something like this had happened in 2009, reportedly. And I'm big on second chances. You can argue in domestic violence should be no second chances, but I'm big on second chances. Isolated incidents, this is not who I am. When you hear it again in 2015, that's then a repeated pattern of behavior. There's now children involved, and that's where the enormous lapse in judgment that I would argue continued every day from 2015 until Zach was fired. Continued. At Ohio State's practice complex, see, you've been there, they got something written on the wall. It says honesty, treat women with respect, no drugs, no stealing, no weapons. Well, the no drugs, no stealing, no weapons, that seems to still apply. The honesty, Urban had a major misstep with the media, but that treat women with respect, to me, that program has to earn that back. And when this story first came out, I said this, I want to say it again. This is another reminder on a big picture scale that when it comes to domestic violence, almost always, men have the power. And I don't just mean the alleged assaulter. I mean typically the people in positions of power around that person are men. And if any of those powerful men had stepped in at one point in time, maybe this woman's in better shape, maybe her children are in better shape, maybe everyone is in better shape. And you're right, it's 2018 and we have a better understanding of it now, but it's just so troubling for me that a lot of us have this blind spot, right, where we wouldn't accept open racism from our friends, but a little misogyny, a little sexism, like those things, to me, a lot of us have blind spots on. As far as the punishment goes, I didn't think he'd get fired. Whether he should be fired or not, I didn't think he would be fired. I agree with C. If he, as for the, would have been more penal to miss a big game in Penn State, but that's, to me, not the bigger story here. It's about Zach Smith, his ex-wife, and the children.
No, and I echo what both of you guys are saying. I also would have liked to have seen a little more of a heartfelt apology as opposed to just reading from a prepared statement with what felt like very little heart and very little remorse. But again, he was blessed with another chance to come back, to have just 3 games or 3 weeks missed. 3 weeks?
3 games.
3 games missed, right. So, all right, much more on this. We'll have much more First Things First right after this.
My car is a lot like your car.